Om. In today's session, we will explore the question how to deal with uncertainty, especially during these challenging times. How can we find a way to stay clear, sane, and stable in these times of change, where things are surprising us on an hourly basis, where we are confronted with radical shifts, where we are overruled by outside circumstances which turn our life upside down in the fraction of a second. Surprise is an understatement. Frequently it can be shocking. It can kind of pull the carpet under our feet. And how can yoga and meditation, how can the art of living help us to keep that stability, that clarity, to maintain our sanity in the face of adversity? So, a very crucial question during these challenging times, but generally in human life, we are confronted with uncertainty. What is important for us to acknowledge, first of all, is that it is nothing unusual and nothing new. Nothing specific to my life. It's a general phenomenon that time is moving and that things are changing all along. They have been changing and changing and changing, not only for decades, not only for centuries, but for millennia. And actually, if we zoom out, for millions, even billions of years. Nothing lasts forever. Everything changes. As Eckhart Tolle phrases it, even the sun will die. Referring to the changing phenomenon as astrophysics has been researching it, how the sun was born a few billion years ago, how it developed, how it's growing bigger, how it will maybe explode, then get small. The sun is a very alive entity in the center of our solar system. And yes, it has a very long lifespan, but it is changing on an ongoing basis. There's electromagnetic storms coming thrown out into the universe and hitting the earth on an ongoing basis from the sun. The sun is changing all the time. Our life is changing all the time. Everything around us is changing. The sun and the rain, the day and the night, the summer and the winter, the dry and the wet season. All these cycles of nature, yes, reoccurring, but still changing phenomenon. Climate change. The summers get hotter, the winters colder, this, that, a gazillion examples. Everything is moving. It is in the nature even of our mind to move. It's in the nature of life to be active, to shift, to transform. And out of that, out of those millions of changes which are happening on an ongoing basis in our body, on a cellular level, our hormones, our neurotransmitters, the processes in our metabolism, taking things out, taking things in and putting them out again, all these things are constantly changing. We grow older. We hopefully stay healthy. Things are always changing, and that change is frequently unpredictable. We try to plan. We do our best to figure out a strategy, give direction, have a goal, make steps to reach it. The mind is looking for certainty, for stability, wants to have reassurance that I'm on the right track, that I will actually achieve what I'm working for. But the truth is, nobody knows. The mind wants certainty, but there's a lot of uncertainty in life. It's in the nature of life to move and change in a frequently unpredictable way. With the most amazing meteorological weather satellites, they try to predict the rains, the storms, the this and that, and still they barely manage 1 to 3 days in advance. It's so complex, the weather. Nobody can really predict it in the long run, despite of our massive technological and scientific efforts and progresses. It's frequently unpredictable. And even if it seems to be kind of predictable, plannable, and we have some statistical probability, a likelihood that it will most probably turn out like this, then still things can turn out different than we expected. And suddenly there's a storm arising, not just on the sky, but also in my emotional charge. I somehow get triggered. I get provoked. Somebody presses my button and I'm suddenly ready to explode. And I cannot control this storm within myself. I'm carried away and there's a certain uncertainty. I don't even know where it will go, when it will stop. And it can be very intense, these hurricanes, these storms in our emotionally charged thoughts. And they can pull the carpet under our feet. And we feel overwhelmed, drowning, carried away, blown away by the intensity. So we would like to have that perspective, that direction, that trust, that goal on which we can rely upon, that certainty. We hunger for that stability. But again and again we get surprised, disappointed, blown away by the intensity of the sudden change and shift. So uncertainty is inevitable. The bottom line is, see clearly, it's not a surprise that things change and turn out different than we expected. Expectations lead to disappointment. See clearly how this projection of our ideas, of our thoughts into the future, this anticipation is in a way at the root of the problem. We still secretly believe that our plan will manifest. And yes, it's true, many times it turns out as we expected and kind of similar. But if you would look closer, it's actually similar, not exactly, but kind of similar direction. But the more clearly we see, the more closely we look, we can acknowledge that it's always kind of quite a bit different than expected. So the bottom line is, get used to it. Drop that foolish idea that we could predict and with our strategizing plans figure it all out. We cannot. To a certain extent, yes. And yes, make use of that. And let's meet at 5:15 in front of the hotel there. Sure. We can have a plan. And it sometimes, maybe for you even frequently, works out. But still there remains a considerable amount of unpredictable surprises. Circumstances which we just couldn't anticipate before. It just turns out differently than we expected. And then how do we respond in those challenging moments? It's a common tendency to get upset, to freak out, to get in a way overexcited, or even contract in a fear-based anxiety attack. So let's be realistic. And in this way, avoid the future disappointment. Because we know that our expectations frequently will not turn out as we thought they would. Get used to it. Be realistic. Get real. See life for what it is. Changing phenomenon, frequently unpredictable. But then what remains at the end of the day? What can we do? How can we give direction? Are we just floating like leaf in the wind, blown away? Just going with the flow, with the current of some external circumstances? Where can we find stability? What gives us direction? How can we connect to a deeper purpose where we feel aligned and connected to a stable ground? And this question, in its various shades and forms and expressions, is at the core of the spiritual quest. This existential search for something true and meaningful, something lasting. The stability in this happiness is what we are looking for. We are running after this everlasting happiness, this ongoing pleasure. But experience shows we don't find it there, because it's always a back and forth between pleasure and pain, success and failure, fame and blame. But what remains at the end of the day, after we see again and again and time again that it is not found in pleasure and pain? What is the stable ground? That is the invitation to stay open, to look clearly. And what do we see? What remains when all these thoughts and emotional storms have passed? What remains even stable during these storms? The eye of the storm, the center, the stable pillar, which is a certain grounding axis. Where can I find that? What can I hold on to? What is it that remains? It is not about answers of the mind, opinions and beliefs, philosophies and theories. Because our belief and conviction in those will also change. We thought we had it all figured out, and now this is the big theory, and now I can explain it and understand it and make sense out of all of it. Yeah, for a while. And then another challenge, another tsunami wave blows us away. And we thought we had it all figured out. But surprise. A sudden accident, a disease with severe pain, somebody near us passes. Just yesterday, a dear friend of mine told me that her yoga teacher committed suicide. Living on a tropical island in Bali here, but decided to leave. How do we deal with such shocking experiences? How can we keep the sanity, the stability to stay alive and centered? Find that stable ground in your heart. Trust in that pure awareness, which can observe the changing phenomenon of good and bad, past and future, moving across this screen of consciousness, while we remain the stable background. This witness consciousness which observes the changing phenomenon. Cultivate the connection to this stable ground of pure awareness. Meditate. Do not delay this process of anchoring yourself in that stable ground of clear seeing, rooting yourself in this stable, pure awareness. Trust in the stability of the heart, the universal, spiritual heart, that pure seeing, that recognition of the stable background of existence. Open yourself to the universal consciousness, beyond the changing phenomenon in my more or less conscious mind. Allow yourself to go deeper. Trust, and you will find some stability in the essence of the heart. Best wishes for your journey back home. Namaste. I hope you enjoyed this exploration of the changing nature of reality, and I trust that you will find ways to stay centered in the middle of the storm. If you're curious on more practical tips and tricks, I invite you to check out our courses on mindfulness and meditation, where we go deeper into practical recommendations. But I'm sure that you also have a lot of life experience and found your own ways how to keep the groundedness when things get intense. So please use the comments below to share some of your tips and tricks, giving other people some inspiration so we can learn from each other. Please share your practical experiences with this grounded centeredness, with this stability in the middle of uncertainty. If you like this content that we are sharing here in these videos, please feel free to give a thumbs up for this video and maybe even subscribe to our channel. I'm in any case sending you lots of life-loving wishes from the Balinese yoga capital Ubud. Namaste.